Have you ever thought about this? What is the goal of your life? With a multitude of opportunities and choices awaiting, along with various careers and paths, it can indeed be difficult to decide on one's direction. Society often puts pressure on us to make decisions from a young age about the path we will choose for our lives. The majority of children don't know what life will be like as adults and what they want to do in the future. In fact, many adults are also pondering about it. However, the Japanese have introduced a new philosophy called IKIGAI, which means reason for being. IKIGAI helps us identify what makes us feel alive and excited every morning. Exactly, that's something we can wholeheartedly and soulfully invest in. When we are fully immersed in activities we love to do, to the point where nothing else matters, we are experiencing a state of flow. IKIGAI helps us identify the important factors to achieve this state and make our pursuits meaningful and sustainable, while contributing to the world around us. Many people find themselves in jobs they don't enjoy. When we face this reality, the pain we experience often leads to feelings of sadness on Sunday evenings, as we begin to contemplate the dread of Monday mornings, knowing we'll have to muster the strength to get out of bed, aware that we'll have to face several more challenging days in the week ahead. Upon arriving at work, the lingering memory of the weekend still hangs in the air, and as we start our tasks, we begin counting down to the first lunch break, then the next, and so on until we can finally go back home and repeat the cycle. Indeed, life couldn't become any less exciting. Think about it. Working in something we don't enjoy not only takes a toll on our health but also affects the environment and relationships around us. Especially when we witness other colleagues enjoying their work and excelling at it. This can make many feel bitter about their own jobs, and it's a source of many serious health issues, including depression. Some even feel lost and desperate to the point of self-deprecating thoughts about being failures in life. Even though we can't entirely control the environment around us, we do have the power to decide how we approach and react to difficult situations. We can try to change our perspective on our current job and find ways to make it more enjoyable. Alternatively, we can conduct a thorough self-assessment and evaluate the work environment, then make a decision on whether to seek a new opportunity or not. Yes, the process of change we need to undertake has two aspects. One is changing our mindset, and the other is changing our situation. When we apply correct thinking and right action, we can achieve a state of flow. IKIGAI helps us identify what is most important for each individual, enabling them to start each day with a clear purpose and thus carry out their work more naturally, without having to try too hard. Now, IKIGAI comprises 4 dimensions. First, it all starts with finding what you're good at, combined with passion and love. The next important thing is to ensure that your work brings meaning to the world around you, and finally, being paid for that work. 1. Doing what we are good at. We are all born with unique talents and abilities, partly due to genetic factors and partly due to the environment. Each individual has special qualities and skills that can be shaped through development and learning. The key is to recognize and leverage our strengths. Instead of focusing solely on improving weaknesses, we should also develop our strengths to shine and succeed in life. Instead of investing too much time and effort into fixing weaknesses, we can focus on developing aspects in which we naturally excel. By doing so, we have the opportunity to become masters in that field, showcasing our greatness. Why settle for being ordinary when we have the potential to shine? to be a source of inspiration and contribution to the world around us. Not only do we make ourselves shine, but we also create significant benefits for everyone around us. 2. Doing what we love. Allocating time for activities we enjoy is an essential part of the journey to find meaning. However, this may require careful consideration and self-discovery. In fact, while the level of skill can be assessed, identifying this is still somewhat subjective and complex. For example, you may dream of becoming a professional content creator on YouTube, but achieving this requires dedication, patience, and creative skills. However, there may be aspects of the job that you don't enjoy at all. For example, you may enjoy video editing and script writing but feel uncomfortable when it comes to filming. In this situation, filming can become a significant barrier. However, we can try to make this more enjoyable by changing the workflow or exploring new locations, thereby creating conditions for our experience to become more engaging and bring a sense of flow to the work. Here, mindset plays a crucial role. With proper focus, we can easily accomplish necessary tasks that we don't necessarily enjoy. Of course, outsourcing is also an option. However, when daily activities feel burdensome and don't bring joy, leaving us unable to find a way to cultivate enjoyment in them, perhaps we should seek a different path to move forward. Perhaps we're not interested in this field or feel that our skills are lacking, leading to a sense of disappointment. Ultimately, there's no reason to do something that we don't enjoy. So, it might be easier if we simply listen to our hearts and let intuition guide our path. 3. Do something useful for the world. We may identify what we're good at and what we enjoy doing, but IKIGAI doesn't stop there. It has to be activities that are meaningful and beneficial to the world around us. Otherwise, it's merely personal passion. Fortunately, there are many ways to contribute to the world. There are tasks that some may overlook but are genuinely important. From picking up trash to repairing things, every contribution plays a significant role in sustaining and developing society. If we can find joy in such tasks, then that is commendable. To discover what the world needs, we can conduct market research to better understand current demands. Or we can look further ahead, asking ourselves how we, with our skill set, can contribute to making the world a better place. That's a proactive approach to finding real meaning in our work. 4. Do things that make money. Although some may argue that money is not important or should not be a primary factor, the reality proves otherwise. Money plays a crucial role in life. It is a resource to help us cope with daily challenges and cover necessary expenses. For our efforts to be sustainable and meaningful, they need to generate income. Otherwise, our work may just be a hobby without providing the necessary financial stability. Certainly, there's nothing wrong with having a hobby. However, it also means that we may have to engage in a job that is not necessarily our passion to cover daily expenses. As a result, we might have to sacrifice a significant amount of time and energy for a goal that we're not truly passionate about and don't consider it a life mission. Therefore, money can be seen as a form of energy that helps us progress further in pursuing our goals. Now that we've discussed the 4 aspects of IKIGAI, it's important to understand how they relate to each other and how their combination creates IKIGAI. When we combine doing what we love and what we're good at, we discover passion. However, that passion alone isn't enough to become an IKIGAI. Because it could be something that the world doesn't need, or even potentially have negative consequences for the environment around us. Furthermore, sometimes that passion may not generate income, and it might even cost us money. However, passion is a part of IKIGAI. When we combine doing what we love and what the world needs, we can consider it our mission. But the mission we pursue isn't simply IKIGAI. Because we may not excel in that field and may not earn money from it. However, viewing all our activities as a mission is an important part of shaping our reason for existence. When we find a job that the world needs and pays for, it can be seen as a calling. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that we have to genuinely like or excel at it. Sometimes, we may feel extremely uninterested in that job but still do it out of a sense of responsibility or necessity. In this case, the significance of the calling comes not only from performing the job but also from the understanding that we are contributing to a larger goal, serving the interests of the community or society. Therefore, merely having a profession isn't enough to call it IKIGAI. Ultimately, a profession is just a job that we are good at and get paid to do. This doesn't imply that the job is what the world needs or what we enjoy. In fact, there are people who don't enjoy their jobs, and some professions may even have a negative impact on the world. Thus, a profession cannot be considered IKIGAI. Creating an IKIGAI involves the combination of all four aspects. It represents our reason for being, which includes passion, mission, vocation, and profession. These are the elements that create favorable conditions for us to engage in an activity we love every time we start a new day. When we enjoy our work, immersing ourselves in it and experiencing a state of flow becomes easier than ever. The secret lies in the ability to adapt ourselves to the surrounding environment, creating a harmonious interaction between us and social conditions to make pursuing our goals smoother. In Taoist philosophy, this is referred to as Wu Wei, which can be simply understood as natural action. It's important to remember that what we seek is not a fixed point but rather an ongoing process of interaction and adjustment. In life, many factors influence our IKIGAI. In a constantly changing world, maintaining this state of flow requires us to be flexible, continuously adjusting, and adapting to the environment around us. IKIGAI is not a static entity but rather a dynamic process to experience over time.
Thanks for watching.